Hey guys, about 3 years ago, I reviewed this Klarus GL1 weapon light. Was really impressed with it, and since then I've reviewed a bunch of Klarus lights. They have great build quality. They perform really well. They're reasonably priced, but that GL1 was very similar to the Olight, the PL Mini 2 Valkyrie, which I had reviewed like a year before that. So, anyways, Claris reached out to me again, said they just came out with the brand new weapon light. I'm not even sure if it's actually available for sale yet. I don't think it is. We're kind of toward the end of August right now, but uh, they sent it to me basically in this plain brown box. Again, I'm not saying it's a prototype because I do think it's ready for sale. So if you get it, I'm sure it will come in like their nice packaging. But what they have here is called the GL2. So I figured we'd do a quick unboxing. Kind of, I'll show you what mine came with, and then we'll go over some specs and features and stuff like that. We'll get it mounted to something. We'll kind of go over like the user interface of it, get to the range, test it out, and I'll give you guys some thoughts on it. So again, I'm sure that your guys' will come nicely packaged. Mine basically has like this foam roll, and then the light itself is here, and we'll go into detail on that. So we have a charging cable. It's type A to USB-C. We have an Allen key, a few screws. Looks like there's 3 of them. And then another rail adapter. And there's one that's probably installed there already. And it does not look like it's marked for like Glock or just regular Picatinny. We'll pull this one out of the package in a minute, see if it's got any markings on it. And as you can see, mine does not come with any type of instructions or anything. I'm sure that yours will. Give you guys some up close of this little GL2. So it is a flashlight, and you can see that little black hole right there above the LED. That is an integrated laser. So again, this is kind of a clone of the Olight. That was the Balder Mini. And I actually reviewed that maybe 2 years or so ago. That one was a 600 lumen light. This one is 1,000 lumens. Like I mentioned earlier, just the fit and finish of the Klarus brand, like their lights are just so well made. I never have complaints about like quality control or anything like that on them. Just there's no blemishes. They're just good lights. So just kind of going around the light. Again, we got the LED up there and the laser. It's going to come out of there. This is the little locking latch or lever that's going to secure it to your rail. This here is how you're going to switch between just flashlight, flashlight and laser, or just laser. We have our rear switches here. We'll go over those more in detail later. On this side, we have how we're going to adjust the laser for windage and elevation. And here's again that little key that you can switch out for different types of rails. And then on the bottom is the USB-C port. Let's get that open. And again, that even looks really clean. I don't have any official dimensions on it. So like my unofficial ones, it's just over 2 inches by the time you look at the rear switches there in length. The overall like height of it, not quite 1.5 inches. And we'll go at from the side of the rail to the side of the little lever there is not quite 1.5 inches that way either. And get a weight on it. .9 ounces. So it is constructed out of 6061 T6 aluminum. It's IPX6 waterproof rated, and they have tested at 1 meter for the drop resistance. As you can see, we have a few different settings that we can do on the light. Our high setting is going to be 1,000 lumens with almost 6,000 candela, and the distance or the throw on that is 154 meters. Low's 100. We can do high and laser together. There's a strobe. Again, you can pause that and read all that if you'd like to. So before we get this mounted to something, I'll go over these settings with you. So we can see there's a little arrow right there, and then there's like a corresponding little marking. So right now I'm on the flashlight only. And to turn that on, it's just simply push either button. And it's going to come on that high 1,000 lumens, blinding bright. And one more click, then just shuts you off. And if you want those other settings, such as low or strobe, when you turn it on, you have to cycle through it kind of quick. So like I'm going to turn on that 1,000 lumens and then I have to hit it again. Now I go to low, I hit it again, I go to strobe, and then it cycles off. To my knowledge, I can't figure out any way to go directly to low or directly to strobe. So you got to come on high, cycle down, cycle to strobe, cycle off. So it is multiple clicks to get to strobe. It also has a momentary feature, so you can basically just press, hold, and then release. And that always comes on in that high 1,000 lumens from what I can see. Now we can switch over to where it's light and laser. The camera might have a hard time picking up the laser here, but it's the same options basically. So we can have this, you can see the laser right there. And then on this setting, there's basically not a low light. So I'm going to turn it back off and cycle through these. So it'll be your high 1,000 lumens and then strobe with the laser. The laser's still on right there in the middle of the table. But there's not a low setting. And then we can also have just laser only. And you'll see that on there. But we can still get strobe even from this setting. So I'll turn that and you'll see that we have a strobe now with the laser still on, and then back off. And that obviously is a green laser, and it's in the 520 nanometer range. And I prefer green. It's just easier for my eyes to pick up, especially outside. And just like the other settings, the laser does have a momentary feature. So if you want, you can just press that, and then when you release, the laser goes off. So I brought a few different pistols out here to show you guys what it'll look like mounted up on different guns. They've all been cleared. They're all safe. But I'll start here with this Beretta. Because of this flare right here, I actually have a really hard time finding weapon lights that'll mount on here and fit right. YouTube changes their policy so much that I'm not exactly sure what's allowed and not allowed anymore, but you can see this rail key right here. Basically, I'm gonna put it up in here, and then this thing will actually slide in multiple positions to allow me to get this back as close as I can to this trigger guard. So I'm gonna go ahead and press this up on here, and then I'll show you guys a little bit after that. All right, so I was having trouble getting this little lever to latch back closed on that first gun that I tried it on. It was almost like this thing was too tight. Some of these will have like a little adjustment right here that you can take like an Allen key or something and move that, and I couldn't find anything. So what I ended up doing was I pushed this in like this, and then I just took my fingers and then just turned this a little bit, and that made it just a little bit looser, and then it is going to mount just fine now. I don't know what the exact distance is from like the middle of that rail slot to back here, but I know it's over 1.5 inches. And so with that key all the way to the front, it still doesn't come completely back to this trigger guard. I can't adjust it anymore back that way. It's as far as it'll go, but I can still reach the controls perfectly fine on this. No troubles at all. You can also adjust it while it's on your gun. So if I want just flashlight, I can do that now. You can still push that into any of those positions that you want. All right, another gun that I have a lot of trouble finding lights that'll work on is this little Ruger SR22. It's so short from in here, and most flashlights or weapons lights are not adjustable, and there's just not enough room to fit anything in there. So I got a feeling that we can adjust this and that it will work. So I'll show you that once I get it on here. So this is kind of the same thing I was having with that Beretta. It'll go on here and then I cannot push that to clamp it down. So I'm gonna have to make that adjustment again on this one, and it will, like, it will not push over. So I did like a little quarter turn and it fits on here, but I will say there's a little bit of movement on this one that I didn't see on the Beretta. So I'm gonna try to tighten that back up again. Yeah, it does fit on here. If I go any tighter, I can't close that. And there's still just a touch of movement. I don't know if the camera is picking that up or the microphone, but I can hear it and I can feel it moving just a touch. I don't think it's gonna like ever walk off or anything like that, but just something to let you guys know about. This is a Taurus G3C. There's only one rail spot. We'll kind of see what it looks like on here. So with the same amount of tightness that I just had on that little Ruger, there's definitely some movement here, side to side and up and down. So I'm going to try to tighten that up and we'll see if we can get that a little more secure. All right, made a little adjustment and it is very solid on here now. There's zero play. So yeah, you might have to adjust that just a little bit to get it to fit your gun exactly the way it should. But this is nice on here now. I can reach the controls easily, either side. So this Taurus is basically Glock 19 size. Got a couple different rail slots here. And again, this thing will slide to accommodate just about any rail length. So we'll see what it looks like on here. So out of the other three or so far that I've shown, it fits on here definitely the best. It is rock solid. It comes just past the trigger guard, just like it's supposed to. This is a really good fit on this one. And as you can see, it obviously doesn't really stick out beyond the muzzle at all. And here's the TX22 compact. Yeah, not a whole lot of room. So I'm not sure if it'll fit on there or not, but we will check it out. And what you want to do is you actually want to start with this thing toward the back of this. You'll put it up like this on your rail, and then you slide it back in place. And there's what it looks like on here. And again, that is super solid. It really fits these Tauruses nicely. Comes just past the trigger guard. Again, barely sticks out beyond this muzzle. And you can obviously still get to your USB-C port while it's still mounted to your gun. I mean, it only takes a second to undo that and pull it right back off. But you don't have to. You can just leave it on there and charge it while it's on. And speaking of the battery and charging, there's a little LED indicator right there. And every time you turn your light on, if it's green, it means your battery's still good. If it's red, it probably means we need to get it charged. And basically, I just pulled a thing out of the box, and what I've been demonstrating and showing you is I've not charged this at all yet. And we can see that we're in the red now. And when it's charging, we get a flashing red indicator. All right, try to show you guys what this Klarus looks like inside. We'll do the flashlight first. As you can see, the hot spot is just about that entire wall there. So it's a very wide hot spot. It is a little bit more of a neutral, almost leaning toward like a warm tint, kind of like a little bit of a yellowish to it. And this will be the light and laser together. You can see the laser pointed right there on the couch. Be hard to see it probably on the wall. The light will probably wash it out, but there it is on the pillow and couch. And just laser only. All right, we're outside here now. I'm about 30 feet or so away from this wall. It is not complete darkness, obviously, out here. There's a few other lights that are on, but we'll still see what this light looks like out here. So again, it does light up things pretty well, but a little bit wide on that hot spot. Again, I think it's around 6,000 candela. And now we're about 50 feet from this corner. It's a little bit darker than the other spot I was just at. Let's see what it looks like. That's the low setting. All right, guys, out at the range this morning with that little Klarus GL2. One thing that I realized setting up here is that they do not include any type of screwdriver to adjust the laser. So it takes a little flathead to be able to get down in there to change those. Now, I always keep a set in my range bag, but that is something that Klarus should probably include. But I'll probably run 50 to 100 rounds through it total, some on the light, some on the laser, and then some on that combined light and laser. Make sure that the light doesn't shut off or flicker or anything like that, and report back with you guys. So hopefully the camera picks up on the laser. I know it's a green laser and sometimes the camera doesn't want to see it, but I'm right there, kind of the bullseye area right now. But we'll get some shots with it and make sure there aren't any issues with it. All right, these are first shots with the laser. I've not sighted it in, so we'll just kind of see where it's at. That's all I'm going to look at is the laser. So those three are kind of all right next to each other. I need to bring it to the right, maybe a half inch to an inch. All right, so we got in the nighttime shots and actually got out to the range to use it. So I'm going to share some thoughts with you guys. So first, let me remind you that this is like a prototype or a pre-production model. So the things that I say, it could completely change. I don't know what the final version is going to be completely like yet. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And I'd also like to remind you that everything I say is just my opinion on it. So first up is the output. They claim it's 1,000 lumens. I don't have any reason to disbelieve that. I will say that indoors, the light is plenty bright. You can see into large rooms. It illuminates the whole room, plenty enough light to see if somebody was standing there or, whatever it might be. Outside, if there's any other type of like ambient lighting, this could definitely be a little bit brighter. And I don't mean by more lumens, I mean by more candela. And that usually comes from like the reflectors and stuff. If they could figure out a way to narrow the beam a little bit more to make it a little bit tighter, it's almost like the light is dispersed a little bit too much. And if somebody were 20 or 30 feet away from you, it'd be difficult to tell if they had a gun or if they had a knife or if it was a cell phone. It's not enough light projecting directly on something outside. Again, indoors, it was perfectly fine. So having paddle style controls is actually my favorite. Like Streamlight uses like the switch on like the TLR1. Some of the other places use like the up and down, like Olight I think uses like an up and down button. I like the kind that you have to actually push in, and to me it's just natural to bring your finger off and just go in like that. It's just super natural. I will say that these are too small, at least from my hands. They're too small. I understand that they're trying to, have it to where you can access this, but if they brought these up significantly higher, it still would not interfere with the switch here at all. And they wouldn't have to change anything other than the actual paddle size. They're also plastic, And I would like to see that be some type of rubber, like a texturized rubber, but just extend this another 1/4 inch or something. And you could still easily push this control, the selector all the way through, even if the paddles come up significantly higher. But I feel like if I'm here, I have to come down really far and then back in. And I just think it'd be easier if they were up a little bit higher and texturized. I could get to them so much better. One other thing I'll say that happened to me at the range is, like, let's say I turn the light on. Basically, after like around 5 seconds or so, if I hit that, it should shut back off. You see how that went to like a lower setting? Now it turned off. And then the same thing was like, if I do it rapidly, it should go through those settings. That's what it's supposed to do, like that. But after you leave it on for a few seconds, it should not. It should just shut off. Like that time it worked, but obviously the previous time it didn't. I really noticed it when I was testing the laser. I would have the laser on and I would shoot a full magazine, which that probably takes, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds or whatever. And then I would go to shut it off. And just like that right there, I'm getting the strobe with that laser. It should not do that. Again, it's a prototype version, but after it's been on for a few seconds and you hit the button, it should just shut the light back off. So it does have an internal battery. You can't service it. You can't replace it. Some people are not going to like that, but a lot of light manufacturers are going that route. They do put the USB-C charging port underneath, which is nice. A lot of people will put it back in the backside, which you do have to remove it every time. It only takes a split second to remove it, but I do like having it where you don't have to. And I don't know what Klarus's warranty is because I didn't get any information at all, not even a manual or anything, because again, it's a prototype. But usually they offer a pretty decent warranty on their lights. And one other kind of con or complaint that I had is that Klarus does not include, or at least for my version, they didn't include that little mini screwdriver to make my windage and elevation adjustments for the laser. I'm sure that the production version is going to have it. But, and I had a set with me, so it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, they did not include that. So I don't know pricing on this GL2 because they're obviously not released yet. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be somewhere close to what Olight sells, that Balder Mini, I think theirs is called. And I think those were maybe close to 120 the last I looked. So these will probably be near there or maybe just under. So assuming that they're that price or around it, would I recommend this? Yeah, the build quality is fantastic on it. They make a really good product. I guess my biggest concern is if you do have really large hands, is that you might have a hard time getting to those little paddle controls there. They are awful small. If you have smaller hands, medium hands, I think this is a great light for you. And again, if you're using it for like a home defense situation, I think it's really good for that. Maybe on a carry pistol. Yeah, I know that most events happen within like 10 feet or something like that, and it's probably really good for something like that. But again, if you start getting distance that's 20 or 30 feet, the light just kind of spreads out a little bit too much. But yeah, hopefully this review has been helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Whenever these are available, I'll come back, and especially if they're available on Amazon, I'll come back and update the video description and put a link down there. Like I said, as of now, they're not available, but yeah, that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.